Hello there, wonderful people. So, it's the full moon today in February. If anybody is seeing this today, we have the reverse death card. So, I have never done a video on this. This is the first time. And this is a major arcana card, kind of an important message, the death in general. Let's just touch on some of the important notes here as far as the reverse death initiation and the shadow of death is all about. So, unsurprisingly, death is very much about letting go, surrender, giving up, changes. It's the death of the day before the night comes, the death of the night before the new day comes. Death is part of this cycle of movement and growth that we all need. And when this card comes up reversed, there are different stories which we can see taking place now. Commonly and most obvious and most normal when this card comes up reversed is this maybe unacceptance of the importance of letting go, leaving, dropping control, simple surrender, simple trust and faith in the new that will come. And where the resistance, if you like, of change, or the resistance of letting go is bigger than the holding on or the reaching for something new or something important that can come after we've let go, there we find ourselves in this impasse or in this state of stagnancy where there's no movement, where there's no change. And in order for change to happen, we really do have to go and drop whatever it is we're holding on to and realize the importance of that dropping, importance of that surrender and that sacrifice, that letting go, that giving up. And this resistance is natural. We don't do change very well, and we don't do dropping the old. There's a safety in the old that we all know very well, that feels comfortable just because it's known. And all of our habits and all of our past beliefs and conditionings, no matter how negative they may have been for us in our lives and still continue being so, letting go of them feels uncertain, unsure, and there's this fear of the unknown that comes along with death, and this real resistance to control. So this card comes up when we've got control issues. So ask yourself about your control stories and whether you really are trying to make sure that everything is perfect. And control stories come with perfectionist stories, and so if you're a bit of a perfectionist, you have this necessity to make everything very precise and very ordered, when there's a natural chaos in life that we can't really control, and we're always going to have to surrender to at one time or another. In the end, a lot of the surrender that takes place in the death card is, or in life in general, is never as bad as the fears that we might project about it. And the changes that can come when we actually manage to find the surrender, or we manage to find change, is they're always so much more rewarding, and the surrender is never really as bad or as terrible as we may have imagined it to be. And so there's sometimes a bit of a hype or a bit of a bigging up of, oh, death is so bad, and we're taught that in our societal belief. There's a communal, collective, conscious belief that death is the wrong thing, because obviously it affects our bodies, and death of our bodies would mean the end of our apparent existence, because we are so convinced about our physicality, and the mortality of our physical body is a scary story, because we don't understand what and who we might be when this shell or this vehicle we're traveling around in comes to an end. This death, however, is more of an internal one. This is a death of belief, a death of emotional attachments, a death of that might often be seen as a spiritual death, where where we are sacrificing an old part of ourselves, and we're sacrificing an old way of being, an old collection of ideas that we have based our personality upon, and we may at one time have been very attached to, and yet when the death card comes up, it's not like, oh, suddenly we've got to die. No, something, when death comes up, it's usually because something that we have inside of us, some part of us has been on its way out for a while already, and maybe we're just resisting the last letting go, the last suelto of any attachments that we might have, that any beliefs that we might have, that it is important to stay in the past and avoid whatever scary things might come in the future, and learning to trust and learning to have a clear vision as well. Sometimes this card comes upside down because we don't have a very clear vision about where we want to go. So it's very difficult to have the faith in letting go if we don't know where the next rung of the ladder is. If I let go of this rung, what do I hold on to? And our security, our safety of climbing up this ladder of life and this growth and journey. We need to feel and understand where we might be going. So part of the practice that we can do is to to visualize a little bit of a more positive future that can come once we've dropped something that we need to drop. We'll find when this card comes up that the ego is attached to some part of our past very strongly, and this is natural and normal, but it's time. Now is time. When this card comes up, it's time. We can't fight death. It's like trying to swim upstream. We're going to struggle and struggle and struggle until we get so tired that we go, oh, I can't do it anymore. Bah. We let go, and life allows us to enter into a transformational process. Now, in this card, there's a birth of the sun in the background. As well as the birth of the death of a day, maybe, and it's both the rising and the falling of the sun that can be seen in this card. Different people see it in different ways. It's all death. It's all ending, which will bring something new and positive in the future. And this is what we need to focus on. And the final surrender and the final trusting in ourselves, trusting in life, trusting in this process of change that is a consistent and constant story in our lives, that gives way to positive movement and uplifting positive changes. We don't need to be stuck in those ideas that change is bad, because while it might be unsettling and we might have this moment of not knowing where our feet are because the rug has been pulled from underneath them, have faith that we'll land on the ground again and we'll be just fine, and we may have new prospects of growth and new prospects of reaching for the light in different ways. This has been a message of the reversed shadow of death, and if you have any issues with this, throw those comments down below, and like and subscribe and click all those wonderful things, and I wish you the best day.